Guys, this is Elliot with 2 T's from RuPaul's Drag Race, and you are watching Shockwave Dan.
Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger, or simply Cliffhanger, is a Bolliger and Mabillard dive roller coaster located at Six Flags Fiesta Texas in San Antonio, Texas. This roller coaster opened in 2022, and I was able to grab 3 rides on a hot September Saturday. So today, I'm gonna discuss everything about this ride and why I think it's the best B&M in the state of Texas. So let's start with the stats. This coaster stands 150 feet tall, has a track length of 2,501 feet, top speed is 60 miles per hour, and 2 inversions. When this coaster was announced in July 2021, I couldn't be more excited that a shiny new B&M was coming to my home state. A while back, I made a video discussing where I thought the next major coaster would be built in Texas, and my prediction was some sort of B&M at SeaWorld San Antonio.
I could see them adding maybe a B&M wing, flying, or even a dive coaster.
Boy, was I wrong! When Fiesta Texas began teasing a 2022 attraction, the popular online rumors were hinting towards an SNS Axis coaster. And to be honest, I was betting my Jim Reed Anderson dollars on it too, so you could imagine how dumbfounded myself and many others were during this ride's official announcement.
What the fuck? What? Oh my god.
This is the first B&M that Six Flags purchased in about a decade, so obviously this coaster got people talking. Nobody expected this kind of curveball. A dive coaster at a Six Flags park? What? But what really makes this attraction is its 95-degree beyond vertical drop, which was the main selling point of the ride, marketed as the world's steepest dive coaster, which technically isn't true. Gerstlauer got that shit on lock. However, it's the steepest B&M dive coaster, so from a marketing perspective, it makes sense. It's also the first B&M dive coaster in this entire section of America, so regardless, it'll be a hit for the general public. Another interesting feature is its odd-numbered seating, with 7 seats per row instead of the usual 6, 8, or 10 seats. And with 3 rows, it totals at 21 riders per train. I don't know the exact reason for this, but then again, there are very few coasters out there where you can sit in the dead center of the track. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. This roller coaster is located in the Crack Axle Canyon section of the park, right next to Roadrunner Express, Iron Rattler, and Daredevil Dive. This coaster sits on the plot of the former Sundance Theater, which was demolished in 2021. The fact that they could fit a B&M dive coaster in this small chunk of land is impressive. It really dominates the park's skyline, and you can see that first drop all the way from the parking lot, so it captures your attention. It fits with the canyon-themed section of the park incredibly well, and rocks a sick color scheme. Brown track with bright red rails and light yellow supports. I love when the rails of roller coasters are painted different than the rest of the track. It gives Roller Coaster Tycoon vibes, and I'm here for it. They even went out of their way to make the supports look rusty. I'm a sucker for great presentation, and those little details give me a big old dose of dopamine. It also has a steampunk aesthetic tied in as well, and we all know Six Flags is guilty of doing the steampunk look over and over. But here it works really well, so it gets a pass. Apparently Daredevil Dive also has a steampunk look as well, but I wouldn't know because I don't do spinning rides, and just looking at Daredevil Dive makes me feel sick. Plus, in my opinion, that whole ride is just kinda unapproachable during the day because of the constant flames that are coming from its entrance. San Antonio is already hot enough. Why are these flames always on? Am I back at the Chromatica Ball? Can you not just turn them off during the day? I don't know, man, this just doesn't seem environmentally friendly. Anyway, for a Six Flags park, Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger has a fantastic name and theme. Lately, I'm just so bored of roller coasters being named after the same cluster of DC characters, or being named a random synonym for the word big. So it's beyond refreshing that Fiesta Texas created such a fleshed out original theme and storyline for this attraction, centered around Dr. Diabolical and her plan to create an army of monsters using a fear extraction machine. And I gotta say, Dr. D is one of the coolest ride mascots ever. She's the moment, an icon, a boss ass bitch, and we have no choice but to stan. And for Six Flags Fiesta Texas, that makes this their second roller coaster in a row that's been themed after a strong, powerful woman. And I think that's just badass. I love that so much. plus the name is just epic. When you hear the word cliffhanger, this is probably what you'd think of. I know people kept complaining about the name, like,
why name it Cliffhanger if you don't hang it off the actual cliff?
well, obviously they're saving that space for the SNS Axis coaster that's coming next year. But in all seriousness, during Roller Coaster Rodeo 2022, Park President Jeffrey Siebert confirmed it was simply too expensive to stabilize that section of the quarry wall, which is totally understandable. I'd much rather have this roller coaster than something that dives off the cliff but has a much shorter layout, like it dives right into the brakes. Now, the entrance to this roller coaster is located right in front of its epic first drop, so you can't help but get hyped. After a bunch of switchback queues, which provide fantastic views of the whole ride, you enter the show building, which has a lot of fun surprises. I'm gonna talk about the pre-show, so spoiler warning everybody, skip right here if you don't want to hear it. Alright, in 3, 2, 1. So you enter your first of 3 waiting rooms, and this is basically an empty waiting room. You just stand there. But you do have a pretty good view of the second drop, and on the walls there's some nice Easter eggs about the defunct Intamin drop tower, Wildcatter, at Six Flags over Texas, which at one point in time was also named Cliffhanger. I see what you did there. The doors open automatically, and your group makes way to the first show scene. Once the doors close, Dr. Diabolical and her 2 robots announce a groundbreaking product that grants eternal life from a fountain of youth and promises guests will receive a free sample. The bookcase mysteriously opens, and you walk down a hallway to your second show scene. Dr. D then spills the tea. She's not giving y'all free samples. No, she's actually creating an army of monsters using a machine that extracts your fear, Monsters Inc. style, before your fears can get the deep and utterly suck. The machine breaks down and falls apart, leaving the robots to open the doors to your escape, or doom. After exiting the show building, you are then viciously blinded by the bright San Antonio sun for about 10 seconds. Once your vision returns, you pass by free lockers to place all your loose articles since they aren't allowed in the station, which is amazing. Many parks have policies where if you have a backpack, for example, on select rides you have no choice but to pay for a locker. So for a cheapskate like me, I find that absolutely stupid. So kudos to Fiesta Texas for doing it right. Again, since no one has any loose articles, that makes for insanely quick dispatches. It was honestly pretty hard to get footage of this ride in the queue because the line kept moving so freaking fast, which isn't a bad thing at all, but still.
I want that footage.
Even in a full queue on a Saturday afternoon during Fright Fest, we only waited about 20 minutes, so this thing is a capacity monster. Once in the station, you sit in your seat and pull down your trusty B&M vest restraint. Now, I understand why people don't like them. They can be a bit restrictive, but for me, they were just fine. Now your ride begins. You exit the station, take a slight left, and ascend 150 feet into the air. And this chain lift is fast, so you have almost no time to prepare. Once at the top, you make a right turn and approach that sweet holding brake, which hangs you over the edge of the drop. And in the front row, because of the beyond vertical drop, you literally can't see the track below you, which is a trippy visual. While this is happening, Dr. D announces on speakers located on the catwalk, "Come on board audio, yas!" that her army feeds off of your adrenaline to scream and proceeds to drop you. And this drop gave me life. It's essentially B&M's take on a Gerstlauer Eurofighter drop, and in every row, that 95-degree beyond vertical drop gives sick floater airtime. You bottom out and rise into your first inversion, an Immelman, which has some cool hang time. You then traverse your second inversion, a 270-degree 0G roll, and this one is wild because it gives floater airtime, but you're upside down. I can't think of many other rides that give that same feeling. I guess the closest would be a Top Gun stall on Rocky Mountain construction coasters. Either way, I loved it. You then swoop into the mid-course brakes, where Dr. Diabolical gaslights you, says you're not doing good enough, and commands you to scream as you drop down the 75-foot near vertical drop. And you go into this drop with some speed, so it's a great time. I would compare the feeling of this drop to being thrown off a cliff. Sudden, light, floaty. Your next element is a wild bank turn. And, yeah, I guess it is. Wild! After posing for the on-ride photo, you come across arguably the most hyped up element of this entire ride, the Magnum Hill, the Dorito Hill, the Yeet Hill, or as it's formally named, Extreme Airtime Hill. Would I call this hill extreme though? Not necessarily. It's extreme for a dive coaster, that's for sure. I mean, you could probably call it Extreme Floater. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman literally tries to hurl you into space. According to Ride Forces, the drop off the mid-course and the Yeet Hill have roughly the same amount of airtime, but regardless, it was still hella decent. You descend into a right helix, which delivers some solid positive Gs, and if you're sitting on the right side of a train, there's a cool foot chopper effect. You then pop into the final brake run, which concludes your roughly minute-and-a-half long ride. From this point on till the station, there's nothing else in terms of theming, which honestly was a missed opportunity. I just want to know what happens next in this story. Was Dr. Diabolical's evil plan successful? What's her motivation? Is she a real doctor? How did she land a contract with B&M? Did her robot secretly sabotage her machine? I have so many questions. This is an origin story graphic novel just waiting to happen. Why stop there? Just name the whole damn park after this queen. She already owns it. If I had any other minor nitpick with this roller coaster, I'm not gonna fault them for not building it on the cliff, but it would have been really cool if it had at least one near miss element or some sort of scenery during the ride. That would have taken it to the next level. But as for the ride itself, I don't have any real complaints. Final thoughts. Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger is a laugh out loud roller coaster, and on all 3 of my rides in every row, I had a blast. For its final score, I'm giving Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger a 9 out of 10. This is the kind of ride where everyone comes off smiling. It's glass smooth, has a great layout, it's incredible capacity, solid theming, and overall, it's a slam dunk for Fiesta Texas. Plus, it fills a major gap in this park's lineup. In a park full of mostly high-intensity thrill rides, I really appreciate something that's big and graceful. Not everything has to be crazy intense. There's already 2 RMCs in this park after all. In my opinion, I rank this number 2 in the park, just after Iron Rattler, and compared to the other B&Ms in the state, you're going up against 3 Batman the Ride clones and a 22-year-old floorless coaster. So I think it's easily number 1 in Texas. So those are my thoughts on Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. What were your thoughts on this roller coaster? Comment down below. While you're at it, smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.